Episode 1 of the Daily Dozen. We're spotlighting the players to watch in the 2014 season. That's Jason Jewell. I'm Jared Cohen. Normally we bring you the recruiting roundup focusing on recruiting, but this time around we're spotlighting the players we want to keep an eye on for this high school football season alone. And let's get it off in alphabetical order, Jason. Start with the A's. Who's first on our list?
I'm going to start with a junior, Walker Adams, linebacker at Brophy. First team all-section last year, 6'1", 210 pounds, was one of the state's leading tacklers. Had 134 tackles last year for the Broncos. Very talented player. Brophy's had a good success with linebackers. He's the next great one there.
I'm going with the first quarterback of this list, Garvin Alston. He's taking over at Mountain Point for Antonio Hinojosa, who took the Pride to 2 straight state championship games, winning it last season. This is the guy waiting in the wings, Jason, and a very talented player. He's a baseball player as well, has a great arm, really impressed during the spring. Alston is taking over the helm for the Pride, expecting to get them back to the state championship game.
I'll go with another quarterback, way down south at Cienega High School, Adriel Alvarado. Seems like this kid has been playing football forever down there, and Cienega is one of those sleeper teams that doesn't get a whole lot of respect, but they do a great job. Coach Nugent, the Pima Community College head coach, is taking over there at Cienega, done a great job in the past. He's going to have an experienced quarterback under center.
Weston Barlow, the first running back that we're going to mention from Queen Creek, and what a year it was last year for Weston. Not only did he take over at running back for the Bulldogs, for Matt Guida, who was the year before state leading rusher, he gets hurt. Barlow steps in, doesn't miss a beat, over 2,300 yards rushing and 24 touchdowns. He also broke out on the track this past season, setting school records in the 100 meters. This is a kid that's just is going to pick up right where he left off for the Bulldogs, and a player to watch in 2014.
My next player is another Brophy player. Streeter Bates, the tight end, has an offer right now from Air Force. Only played part of the season because of some injuries, but he's a player that already has Division I looks, has an offer from Air Force, is the type of player that can flex out and play in the slot, or can go and put his hand down and play as a tight end. A 6'4", 215 pounds, and a player that I expect to break out in 2014.
I'm going to get to another quarterback here. Tyler Bloom out of Higley. Just going to be a junior, got his first crack at the varsity level as a sophomore last season. He's a lefty. Lefties look cooler in everything they do, whether it's on the basketball court, the golf course, and even on the football field as a quarterback. He is tall, he's got great size, and he's the type of player that looks to make a big impact, getting some Division I attention, put up big numbers last season. Higley looking to go places that they haven't gone before over the last few years, and look to do it with Bloom under center.
My next player is another player out of the Division III ranks, defensive end Skylar Bolman out of Queen Creek. Now, he fits in that typical Queen Creek mold. They don't have those big, giant Division I kids, but he is a tough player with a great motor that had 9 sacks last year, and I expect him to have even more sacks this year going into the 2014 season.
There's a theme going on with me here. I like to talk quarterbacks. We're not talking all quarterbacks throughout every episode of the Daily Dozen, but there's a lot of them at the top of the alphabet. Daniel Bridge-Gadd, the Paradise Valley quarterback, had a big season last year, taking over the new era. Now that Coach Yontis is off to Arizona Christian, a new era of Paradise Valley Trojan football has begun, and he's the quarterback that is the face of that program to get things started. Had a great season last year. Coach Yontis liked him back as a freshman, said he's a guy to watch back a few years ago. Now it's his team to take over, and he looks to do it in a big way in 2014.
I'm also going to spotlight a quarterback next. Sean Paul Brophy out of Chaparral already has an offer from Weber State, and that offer list could continue to grow. He's being tutored now by Rudy Carpenter, former Arizona State quarterback, and from everything I have heard, he's continued to improve and done a tremendous job improving over the offseason. Threw for over 1,800 yards last year, almost 70% completion percentage, and if Chaparral wants to make it back to that Division II state championship game, Brophy is the man that's going to have to lead the team.
Wide receiver this time, also defensive back, going back to Paradise Valley, is Jacob Brown. Now, we remember Jordan Brown from a few years ago, very talented player out on the outside for the Trojans. This is his younger brother, Jacob, and a lot of people think that he could be just as good, if not better, as his older brother. Has Bridge-Gadd that I mentioned that's going to be throwing him the football. This kid is absolutely dynamic and athletic and is going to be one of the biggest playmakers once again on a Trojan team in a new era that looks to have a big first season in 2014.
My next player is a long snapper, believe it or not. Josh Butler
You love the long snappers.
Well, why not? They can win or lose a football game, but Josh Butler at Saguaro is one of the best in the nation, was recently ranked by Kohl's Long Snapping as the #1 snapper in the country by them. Is going to snap in the Under Armour All-America game.
And finally, the last player on this episode of the Daily Dozen, Nick Carmen, big left tackle out of Mountain Point High School. He is going to be the anchor of that offensive line for the Pride. Blew up over the spring with his recruitment, didn't have any offers at the start of spring evaluation period, left it with double digits. He's totally transformed his body since the last we saw him in the state championship game. He is a guy that's going to make a big impact, fronting a very good running game over at Mountain Point. That's it for this edition of the first edition of the Daily Dozen. We've got plenty more for you, so make sure you continue to tune in.